will convene this meeting of the Warren Astronomical Society. My name is Diane Hall. I am this year's president. And we have a small group here at Macomb. So I'd just like to briefly go around the room and have everybody introduce themselves because I don't know everybody's name. Starting with you.
Jonathan Cade, first vice president.
Michael Dowd.
Here. Oh, I'm Ken Bertin.
I'm Wendy.
Gregory Frederick. Sonny Spylos.
Tina Wong.
Gail King, the other chair.
Maria Bovnar.
Mark Kinsey.
Peter Richards.
Very good. Thank you all. Okay. So thank you for joining us tonight. It's a pretty foggy, rough night. As far as presidential type stuff goes, we are currently looking for a recording secretary because our previous secretary, Charles, had to step down from the board. So that position is currently and the good news is, at the last meeting at Cranbrook, I announced that Dr. Dale Partin would be returning to the board to serve as our treasurer. Well, we actually had another person that we were working with behind the scenes, and it looked for a bit like he wouldn't be able to accept, but everything worked out. So our new treasurer appointed by the board as of Monday is Mark Miles. He had a previous trip to Florida with the grandkids, so he's not here tonight. He will be with us at Cranbrook. So we're very pleased to have Mark aboard. He's got a substantial background in dealing with treasury type stuff for other organizations. So yay, we're back to 6 people on the board. So that's a really good feeling. As far as other open positions go, I issued a call in my field of view in the WASP this past month for a snack captain, because it's board members are not really in a position this year to do all the snack bringing. Well, Bob Tremblay stepped up to the plate tonight and brought us chips, pop, and the dry goods, so that's great. We have snacks here at Macomb, but to ensure future snacks, we will need volunteers. It can't fall all on one person, so please, if you are interested in providing snacks, reach out to the board@warrenastro.org, and we will be very happy to work with you. Remember that snack volunteers do get reimbursed for what they do. We do not expect that to come out of your own pocket. Okay. With that, Mr. First Vice President, anything to report?
Jonathan,
Oh, that's true. First vice president.
you're vice president, Jonathan.
All right, I know,
It's been a day.
so we have an increasingly full calendar, but we are still eagerly accepting petitions for presentations. Tonight, we're going to have 2 former presidents, or actually, I don't know if Dale Partin has been, okay, so 1 former president.
Veteran board members.
And 1 everything else presenting to us. So, but yeah, we have some fun talks coming up, so mark your calendars.
All right, thank you. Most of the board wasn't able to tune in tonight for various reasons. So Riyad Mahdi is, of course, our observatory chairman, aka second vice president. On Riyad's behalf, I'd like to point out that the 4th Saturday of the month will be our Stargate open house. Hopefully the weather will be better than it was last month. This weather is going to be a recurring theme tonight. But join Riyad and the gang at Stargate after sunset at our Ray Township Observatory Complex. And the Double Star group will be meeting as it meets whenever Riyad does his thing with the big telescope. So the Double Star subgroup will be convening also at Stargate. Next, we've got the treasurer. So as I said, our newly appointed treasurer was on vacation tonight. He will be in place at Cranbrook to do all the good treasurer type things. In the meantime, you can always renew your membership through our website. Let us know if you have any trouble doing so, but the PayPal is open. As far as secretary goes, Dale Teamy, our intrepid news editor, has been sort of handling the notes for meetings and will be doing so tonight. But we would like to get a secretary on board as soon as we can. If interested, please reach out to me at president@warrenastro.org or board@warrenastro.org. We promise that's a fun job, and if you have concerns, technology has made it much easier. You don't have to sit down with pen and paper writing down every word like secretaries of 20 years ago. All right, outreach. We had a really cool event planned for tomorrow at Cranbrook. Unfortunately, the weather is not cooperating. Mike Narlock from the Astronomy Department officially pulled the plug on the event yesterday morning. So we have a small-scale event in Belleville next weekend. If interested, contact Jonathan Cade. I believe we already have enough. Next Thursday, sorry. We already have enough participation for that one. But if you love Belleville like I do, and you absolutely want to go down there, contact Jonathan at firstvp@warrenastro.org. We have our next engagement with Cranbrook has actually been moved to August. Mark your calendars right now because August is going to be exciting. There's going to be a partial solar eclipse on the same day as the peak of the Perseid shower, the 12th of August. Cranbrook is going to want a day shift and a night shift. And 2 weeks after that, on the 27th of August, is going to be a partial lunar eclipse. Now, for those of you who have done lunar eclipses as Cranbrook before, you may remember sub-zero conditions and general misery. This should be a lot nicer. It's August, so hopefully we'll have good weather, good times. Again, mark your calendar, August 12th, August 27th. Be there, be square. We want a real good turnout for Cranbrook. Okay. Publications-wise, the WASP is out. The WASP is always looking for content. Email content to publications@warrenastro.org, and our publications director and our intrepid editor will take care of that. I believe that does it for officers' reports. As far as subgroup reports go, yes, Jonathan?
I did just want to let people know I do have the card reader if anybody needs to pay for something with it.
Okay, Jonathan has a card reader here at Macomb if anybody needs to pay up. As far as our subgroups go, has anybody been keeping an eye on the sun? Sun's been active. If you're not on Rick Hill's mailing list, Rick Hill, who does the Over the Moon column for the WASP, he's been sending me regular updates on what the sun is like from his place in Arizona, where he can actually see the sun. And it's got a nice collection of spots on it. So the sun is doing things even if we cannot currently see it.
You want to see it, I got
Cool. Anybody who, put that up on screen at break if you can, Ken. Okay, radio subgroup, we had some interest in radio subgroup coming from rank and file members, so I hooked them up with Tom Hagen. If you are interested in joining radio subgroup, Tom Hagen is our new subgroup captain. So we love radio astronomy here, and we want to see if we can get that up and running again. Any other subgroup captains out there? If somebody wants to revive the Urban Astronomy Club, that was fun back in the day when we would show up at light polluted parks and show people what we could, which was actually pretty fun. We also used to have a computer group. Now we all carry computers in our pockets, but if anybody really wants to do a computer group, we could revive that. We're looking to branch out, and subgroups were always part of the fun. So please, if you have an idea, a passion, let us know. Hands-on? Hands-on is always good too. So, with that, has anybody managed to do any observing?
Saw some hail today.
Yeah, I saw some hail yesterday driving home from Lansing. That was fun.
I saw the full moon through my skylight in my kitchen.
I saw rainbow yesterday with thunder behind, with lightning behind it.
What was that?
And Jupiter has been pretty prominent, so it's been,
Jupiter's been cutting through the clouds, so Sirius has been cutting through the clouds to a certain extent. Yeah, so is anybody actually, Jonathan?
I have an observing report. So I was up north last weekend, and I went outside. It was beautiful and temperate and perfectly clear, and there was still a lot of snow on the ground, so I didn't really want to do any telescope observing. But I realized that it looked like the moon was coming up, and I thought, this is very strange, because I thought this was supposed to be a new moon weekend, or close to a new moon weekend. And it turns out that at our observatory, they have installed down at the township park a new light on the dock.
Come on.
So at 11 o'clock PM in February, people can put their boats in the water.
okay.
So it was not the moon.
It was-
Not the first time I've been confused by a non-moon, and not the last.
RIP our dark sky site.
The moon is new now.
Yeah.
Diane, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, this is Dale, or one of the Dales. I did some observing, and I have a couple of photos to share.
Excellent.
Online.
Let's see them.
So this is a little bit different. While all of you guys, oh, hold on, I guess I have to share. Window, share screen, I guess share screen. Well, everybody in Michigan was enjoying sub-zero temperatures. I was vacationing in the Caribbean, and I took one of my telescopes with me in balmy 80-degree Fahrenheit weather. So I took my small C-Star S30. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things I wanted to do was, when I was, down in the South, it's still the Northern Hemisphere, but it's 12 degrees above the equator. I actually got to see a image a target that I've never seen before. It's a southern target, the Carina Nebula.
Nice.
I had to set up the telescope literally in the sand on the beach, because looking out over the sea, because it was still low in the horizon. I think about 14 degrees above the horizon at this point.
Wow.
I got about an hour of data. It was in a fairly dark section. This was taken from the island of Curacao. If you've not heard of that, it's the island next to Aruba, which most people have heard of. So I got to do something, like I said, yeah, I couldn't see it visually, but even though this is pretty bright, maybe with binoculars I could have. But anyway, Carina Nebula, so that's a first for me, which was pretty good. I only did that one night because of various reasons. It's kind of hard to do stuff during the day and the night, and you're busy during vacation. Something else that I've been wanting to do, I've been talking with a friend of mine who lives on the island of Curacao, and that's the wrong one.
Oh, nice.
As people who take photos of planets know, sea stars aren't good for planets. You need aperture. You need large telescopes. And I didn't bring a large telescope with me, but a friend of mine lives in Curacao. I asked him before I went, I said, if we meet up, I wanted to talk stuff, and first time we met in person. Anyway, it's like, would you be kind enough to let me bring my cameras and laptops and plug it into your telescope down there? And he said, sure. So the seeing conditions in the Caribbean are, in general, better than they are in Michigan, but in particular, probably twice as good or significantly better. He has a 14-inch telescope. I only have an 11. So I think this might be the highest resolution Jupiter I've ever taken.
That's
He
nice.
said it wasn't the best of seeing. He's gotten better. Unfortunately, the Great Red Spot wasn't visible due to timing, but I tried some different techniques. I actually did derotation on this for the first time. So I spent a decent amount of time editing this photo to get this. I'm pretty pleased with it. So, I mean, yeah, multiple things came together for this to happen. Here,
Those two storms on the bottom.
here's a little animation of 14 images that I derotated. You can see how the scene wavered over. This is about a 15 minutes of motion. I'm not sure how well the GIF is coming across on the screen there. Let me zoom in a little bit. So a little bit of noise. So derotation allows you to combine images from multiple imaging sessions over a period of time, and it helps to reduce the noise and increase the signal noise ratio. So anyway, I submitted that to the WASP, but I thought that'd be interesting. I know a lot of people in the wintertime up here, we don't get much imaging, but I got some great views of Jupiter down there. So
You certainly did. Well, I'm glad somebody got to see something. That's nice.
yeah.
I've been looking at Jupiter every night, and
Well, yeah. David's a little bit south too.
You know, what is the one?
I've been looking at Jupiter, and it's been absolutely gorgeous and very friendly to me. And while I am here, I'd like to offer you a welcoming quotation. It's from William Blake's Auguries of Innocence, published in 1803. To see the world in a grain of sand, and to heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. Thank you for letting me do that little report on Jupiter.
Thank you. How's the weather been down where you are then? Good?
It's the weather in Arizona has been very nice. Well, actually, what am I lying about? It's been terrible. We've had clouds almost every day, a lot of rain, but I've been taking advantage of the clear moments that we do get. Still looking every night to see if T. Coronae Borealis is doing anything, which it's not. And still out there doing what I love to do and what I was born to do.
Awesome. All right. Do we have any other observing reports, either online or here at Macomb?
I just wanted to mention again, on Facebook, every week I give display. I did the Messier objects, 100 of them. And I thought that there were 110. I thought there was 100 Caldwells. And what happened was Messier was a comet chaser. And what he did was he identified objects that if you looked through your telescope and you saw something that looked like a comet, it wasn't a comet, it was a Messier or a Caldwell. But what happened with Messier, when William Herschel started really identifying everything as NGC and so on, he did 1,000 or so, and Messier went like this, what the heck am I doing? You know? But he didn't do any Messier objects in the southern hemisphere. And what happened was Patrick Moore of England decided that he wanted to name several in the southern hemisphere to do the same for the people, and he called them Caldwell objects. That's his middle name. He couldn't use Moore because it's Messier is M, who's C. There were 100 Caldwell objects until about, I'd say, 10 years ago, and now there's 109 of them, and I am now on 98 Caldwells. I've already done Messier. So if you go online and you go to my site, every Tuesday night I put 2 Caldwell objects. Now I've been doing this now for several years and doing other things as well, planets and so on and so forth. So if you see it every Tuesday, you find my site and you'll see at least 2 of something there. And it's interesting and the pictures are pretty and all that other stuff. And, it's something you might want to do.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Any other observing reports? Jonathan thought that there was some in the room. Okay. Well, We've got a couple of minutes. Does anybody have any astronomy questions for our August astronomers to answer? No question is too weird. We promise.
Does everybody watch Fraser Kane on Universe Today? If you don't, you should be, because he does good astronomy news. He pointed to something recently. Oh, which one was it? I got so many things in my email. Oh God, he was talking about exoplanet surveys, I believe. And I'm confusing. Okay, I'm confusing an email I got from JPL, but I got an email from JPL saying that there are 2 new exoplanet surveys coming online that are looking for Earth-size exoplanets around sun-like stars
Right.
in the habitable zone.
Interesting.
One's gonna be in the northern hemisphere, one's gonna be in the southern hemisphere.
Cool.
So, the one in the northern hemisphere came online in December, the southern hemisphere is working on it right now. But
All right.
it's looking at a very few number of stars, the sun-like stars, and it's going to be looking at them for 10 years.
Oh, boy.
Is that the telescope you're talking about, the space-based?
No, it's two ground-based. They're ground-based surveys.
Ruben.
Not Ruben.
Cool.
No, I'll be writing something up. I'm writing something for the VO.
Okay.
And I'm going to put it in the newsletter.
Good.
So.
Excellent. More content for the WASP. Always good.
Well, I have a stupid astronomy question.
Do you now?
If nobody else does. I don't know if anybody here knows the answer, or maybe somebody online knows the answer. But what kind of nebula is the Keyhole Nebula around Eta Carinae?
Yeah, what were we just looking at?
That we were
Yeah.
just looking
Yeah.
at?
What kind of
So-
nebula is the nebula around Eta Carinae is the question. Anybody know?
Keyhole, isn't it? I thought the keyhole was actually dust.
It's a diffuse nebula. It's a star-forming region.
Yeah.
All right. We got an answer from a professional. Thank you. Thank you.
But Eta Carinae itself has its own nebula?
The homunculus.
So the 2 things are totally separate, or was Eta Carinae?
Well, Eta Carinae is a nebula itself, isn't it? It's
Eta Carinae
gigantic.
is a star that has
Right.
a very strange looking.
Well, that's the homunculus nebula, but the Eta Carinae nebula around it is huge.
Right, so what I was asking was, are they part of the same structure, or are they just coincidental? Is it just a lined up thing where there's this star that has this 2-lobed nebula
I would
around
say
it,
that.
and then a big star-forming nebula behind it? Or,
It's 2 nebulas, I know that.
Interesting question.
so I don't know, it
I
seems
just-
like they should be related, but I don't know if they are.
I had it here a minute ago.
Ask Jack.
No, do you want to do that?
Google. That's the same thing.
Eta Carinae.
All right. While we wait for an answer on whether or not they are related or line of sight,
No, wait a minute, I have it here.
better not be ChatGPT.
It's 2 nebula is what it is. It's exactly right. One of them is called the Keyhole. And then there is a whole bunch of other ones nearby.
Okay.
NGC, this particular nebula is about 8,500 light years from Earth. Which means that it's in our galaxy, is what you need to know. And there is another small one called NGC, no, it's actually, that's Caldwell 92, believe it or not. I knew I ran into it recently. And then there are several Wolf-Rayet stars within it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are two young star clusters, one called Trumpler 14 and the other one Trumpler 16. And Trumpler 14 is one of the youngest known star clusters at 500,000 years old. It contains several stars, even with a supergiant in there.
Neat.
Trumpler 16 is the home of extremely luminous stars such as WR25 and Eta Carina star system.
Yeah, so it sounds like it is indeed,
two.
the star is inside the
Yes.
And
nebula,
absolutely right.
but its nebula is not, its nebula is the remnant of like a
There
nova.
was.
Its own nova outburst.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's huge. It's like the Carina Nebula, it says here, is 300 light
Yeah.
years across.
It's a massive star
And
forming
it's
region.
4 to 7 times larger than the Orion.
Yes.
Nebula.
Right.
That's gigantic.
Yeah.
So as homework,
Homework.
I would like to invite everybody to, on their own time, look up the nebula, the dark nebula inside the Carina Nebula known as the Defiant Finger. And I will let you guess which finger is the
I
Defiant Finger.
love that. I
I
actually,
do too.
I want that on a t-shirt.
All right, everybody, that's your homework. Look up the Defiant Finger Nebula.
Sound
I didn't know it had a name.
Defiant Finger Nebula.
And with that, we have hit the bottom of the hour, so,
And the bottom of other thing.
yeah, the bottom of other things. So it is time for our little snacky break, so we'll reconvene in 20 minutes. So enjoy your snacks wherever you are, and we will be back presenting 20 minutes from now.
These snacks are stuff I had in my
Dr. Partin, would you like to try to project again? Paging Dr. Partin.
I'm here.
All right.
So let's try it again. You ready?
Yes. What did I? Sorry, I
Okay,
just hit the off button.
at the bottom of my screen,
No.
I see share and a green up arrow. I clicked it.
Oh, there's your red top right there. Cool.
Can you see my screen?
Get a thing so it's a number. Yeah, I've already got a couple.
Can you see my screen?
So Jonathan and I might have to go up to the
Hello?
observatory this weekend.
That goes right there.
You know, I can see it shared online.
And Eta Carina, can you imagine that that thing is 4 million times as bright as the sun? This is
Dale Hallenbaum, did you say you could see my screen?
I can.
Good.
Astronomy discoveries in 2025.
Well, we see your screen. So the problem is that we see your screen, but we see the presenter's notes rather than
Yeah,
the actual, slideshow view.
Yeah. So down there where your mouse was, if you click the slideshow, it'll probably show.
Would you like some?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. The volume keeps. Why does the volume keep dropping?
Yeah, that's now the slideshow is filling the screen. That's good.
Okay, perfect. All right. We're in business in 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
I got it.
Oh, yeah.
I think everyone just.
Just grab what you want.
I'm just down here with my face hanging out.
Yeah, we saw that one.
Do I have
I don't know if I'll be able to, Jonathan, I might have to go to the observatory.
On Petro
Our observatory, our private one.
As I'm north.
Yeah. So we might have to just put anything up Jonathan was over last weekend.
There's a lot of our familiar ones.
We're worried about when people lie.
Because there are plenty on the northern
It should be, it's probably only.
The moon.
Yeah.
Wasn't us what
True
built
that the moon affects our tides.
Considering that, you know, NGM knew they were gonna make a big budget film, but they didn't know it was gonna be as big a budget.
Probably not.
Because that
Because
director,
water,
department just kind
it
of
probably
lied.
affects our
And then they said,
atmosphere
how much is it gonna?
because of the gravity.
But they already had this big production.
Wait, no,
They
the
released
moon,
it.
the moon,
You know,
tides are entirely driven by the moon.
Very close friend of mine.
It did pretty well, and there was actually an idea of doing
We have, he was over at my house doing service down
But
there.
there actually is a single freeze, but it's really
The
weird. You
broken
ever
water
seen
lines,
Invisible Boy?
we have calendars.
It's an
Invisible Boy is a black and white
Yeah, it's a
film.
big one.
That's
That's,
all.
It's a
But
big one.
It's on the older
It was made a
things.
few
Oh,
years
yeah,
after.
but you know,
Rocky the
the
Road.
astronomy club is
full
promoting
moon.
it.
Reason why- yes.
I had to thank my editor for
That thing cost
setting
hundreds of
up
thousands of dollars to make that costume,
email
okay?
class.
So
We have a new moon.
You know,
Lazy.
yeah, they wanted to use it,
Astronomy
but they
And the
used it
moon
really
are
quick.
on
Just
one
a few
side.
years later, they made this
Okay.
Invisible Boy. And
So there's
what that
more gravity.
is, it's,
No, I feel.
Okay?
Robbie's in
If
it.
they're on
There's a
opposite
computer
sides,
that's like sent
and
in
it's
something,
something
and
levels
he
out,
takes
it's
over Robbie
a lot of
and
gravity,
tries
but
to
it's not
control
pushed to
this
one
boy
side.
who's father's some famous scientist or something. It's kind of hokey,
Probably because
but the
the moon is
weird thing is when you watch
So-
this.
So he might have been
The
mixed up with
seating
full
right
moon
now
and Abby, but
for,
he was,
Kids
peak
might
sky.
go back to our city calendar.
Professor friend,
Wherever the
somehow
position the moon was in.
made a time
There's
machine
another
record.
fact, but
with
there's
the
another
future
factor.
But in Warren, we have
Brought him
aging
into
infrastructure,
this
so.
present day of the
Yes,
film.
yeah,
It's
that's
connected to
right.
Forbidden
The
Time.
moon,
It's not just, you know, he was in it in
No, so
some
what's
other
that black
capacity.
so a new moon could be closer to the full moon.
So you got a lot of.
Yeah,
We're
look at
talking
that.
about
It's actually,
And like I
at
said,
the
it's open
beginning
for
of
a
it,
week.
It's close.
this professor goes and he gets Robbie and pieces and brings it back.
That's a
And
big
they did
deal.
with the help
My
of the
editor took
supercomputer,
time to
figures out how to
digest
rebuild them.
You talk about
It is connected, and in fact, in the
talk about
professor's
a,
house, there's a picture of
annual
Robbie,
eclipse.
well,
now, where's
through the C-57D.
Because they brought him back.
Because they brought him back to Earth, and there's a
Pharaoh.
picture of
That
Robbie,
may have a
and
little
the
effect, and then if there's a
C-70 people around him in this professor's house.
Okay.
Look that film.
So he was just trying to tell me what they're.
Yeah, it's
And
kind of
also
a
to the
weird, it
emergency
is a
room
sequel,
time.
but it's kind of like a
The guy
weird
said, he
kind of
says,
connection.
When the full moon's out, he says, I get some repeat customers.
Yes, it is. A friend of mine who was big
So
into
that's
how are you,
science
Gina?
fiction,
I am well,
like
good luck.
therapy for years too, told me about that, and I go, well, that just sounds like a hokey black and white low budget movie. Why would I care? It's actually connected.
How you doing?
Listen to
What's your name?
Mary.
Levi?
I haven't, no, I haven't read that, I know a film's coming out.
I've listened to the
You
audio.
a college student?
No, I'm
Is it high school senior? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really? School?
No, it's not going great. So I've
Oh,
probably be having surgery on my lower back next Thursday. So
yeah, that's where you might go.
There's a lot of stuff.
I just gotta find out whether it's gonna be Thursday or the following Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I may be out of commission at the next one.
There's so much going
When
on.
did you start getting interested in craft?
Thank you.
You have like a
Pretty
blow
recently,
this.
I'd say.
No, I haven't.
I'd say probably a
Infected
couple months
abscess.
ago.
Oh.
I got,
Sorry.
So they're
well,
gonna have to cut
earlier
down
last
the
year, I got a
Sometimes
DSL.
like I didn't
And I've
read
been
a
doing
lot
some
of
astrophotography, deep sky astrophotography.
So, fun times.
An older DSLR.
It's really good.
See, I studied astronomy.
Thank you.
I'll be 80. I started studying astronomy when I was 6. Because my sister
Finishing up
was 6
foundation.
years older and she had an
Driving
astronomy
into the
course
parking
in
structure.
grade
so
school.
World science fiction.
She brought me a book. I went nuts when I saw Saturday. That was it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've kind of always really, I've always enjoyed,
Let me do something. I'm gonna read about
No, Roland.
I got a couple lots from them.
Even though God,
Give
the
talks
fishing
about
god,
astronomy
John's
stuff. I
dad.
had my telescope.
But
I'll be
yeah.
there as soon as I find it.
Well, the ash trees died, so there's a lot less trees there.
Every
I
year,
got
there's
this
a
thing
world
that
science
actually
fiction
plays
Yeah.
and it's held in the US or abroad.
Yeah.
And when it's held abroad,
Like a beetle or
it's
something?
American science fiction convention. It's on for us.
Now I can hear you.
yeah. So am I, I was given a
Somewhere in the
DSLR
US
from like 2008. And
It was held aboard.
someone recently got a star tracker for it. And
Yeah, I heard
just
that.
like an Ioptron Sky.
Hopefully it's not even Pro.
That's good.
And I've been able to take some pretty decent pictures.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Oh, boy.
Ryan Nebula right there. You can kind of
Yeah,
see.
well, yeah, science doesn't always get the funding.
This is the Orion Nebula.
And then there's the Running Man.
And it was
That's
one of
in
the
the
foremost.
constellation of Orion. And that's a place where stars are being made. Basically.
Our planetary defense
It's
capabilities.
actually, if you zoom in, you'll see some of the orange stars.
I see them.
Those are the younger stars.
We
Right?
have our calendar of how many
The orange stars would be G stars, pretty much. Well, they'd be a
The
little
sun,
bigger.
stars.
Yeah, it would be they would be.
3.5% of all stars.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've noticed a lot when in my images in the Orion region is that there's a ton of orange stars in the background.
Those guys are,
I thought, oh,
those could be F stars.
Yeah, but like I've taken pictures with Pleiades, and this is what stars that we're supposed to show, but there's a lot of blue stars in this picture. And if I go over to this one of the four-sided flame, in the background there's a lot of orange ones.
Finger of God. If that's,
I wonder why that
if that's
is.
God's finger, we're all in trouble. I mean, that's how it seems. No, no, the heart is in,
Those stars are the universe.
you wouldn't be here
Yeah,
for day
yeah.
one.
But the blue ones are really bright, which is why.
Really bright, really. Very hot.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
The first Bible verse book he brought.
Yeah, he said he could make it
He talks about the sun.
and it locally has a
He
word.
says it in a way that kind of makes me go, he says, the sun is bigger than 80% of the stars.
Really?
And it's not big.
Most stars are red dwarfs.
And you can't see those. You can't see the majority of the stars in the sky with your naked eye. It's crazy.
That's true. I mean,
Have you been able to observe or anything?
what?
Can I have some more?
Yes, of course.
About 18 inches.
Well, I've seen some very pretty objects, but I still to this day think the Pleiades is the prettiest thing out there.
Yeah. That's probably one of my favorites too.
I love the Pleiades. I just think. And you understand that Subaru is a Pleiades, right? Subaru logo. You see the logo on a Subaru?
Oh, I never checked
It actually has 6 stars, but the Pleiades has 7, but it's okay, because it actually has hundreds.
Yeah, a whole lot of them.
And I look for rainbow, and I look for all the, and then I look for the.
But but the Pleiades just knocks me out.
You know, and then, oh, well, house.
Yeah, I love the blue
I
reflection.
look for Ryan stuff to make that and then I run in the house.
This is one
That's it.
where I did some
care.
star reduction, star removal processing. And it was able to really bring out the but unfortunately, my stars were out of focus. That was why I did the star reduction, reduce them so much. Messed up my focus. I'm just gonna blur that part and bring the nebula out.
I'm familiar.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You may take most of this stuff back, but the county would love it if I didn't bring any of this stuff home. I don't know if I want most of the stuff. I updated it before I came here. To update
They had laminated
I can't even tell you the number.
I bought one.
I saw it, I think I've seen one partial.
I've got the projector out in
I
the
was able
car.
to see the total,
I haven't
They had
used.
the next
Are you going to the,
that was yeah, it's
Yes.
insane.
We'll get it at the colony. We're parked over by the C building.
Solar flares.
Have you ever seen a total solar?
and the other
Oh, yeah, you had
Tell you
two.
what the first question I asked.
do you have any presentations or?
I have presentations I'm working on. Matter of fact, I worked on them this morning.
It is amazing.
I've heard of those. I mean, they're quite.
We go to Spain.
Would you prefer to do here or?
Hopefully the box.
Either one.
I would say they're more
Africa's
social
also
I
here.
told them, I said, don't look at, don't look at, partial model.
Yeah, I don't remember how long the totality was in Ohio.
Well, that was a 4-minute address.
Okay, yeah. It was
Actually, it was 4 minutes and 25 seconds.
My first availability at Cranbrook for a long talk.
Smaller than this one.
You don't have to have a big.
No, actually October and November.
Takes up space.
Definitely give me time to work on it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that processing side of astro photography as well, because you're able to bring something that you took a bunch of images and they all don't look very good on their own.
They didn't tell me.
Bring them all
Would you
together
be okay with signing up for?
and able to reveal things that you never be able to see. Because I've been doing that
I'm working on a presentation about red dwarfs.
heavy light pollution stuff
The
where that.
thing that I wrote for my final,
It'd be better if I was
speaking
able
to
to
you about
sites, but I haven't been able
teaching
to much
astronomy
yet.
without any math. I started working
Okay, I
on
got a
that
quick
this
question.
morning.
Yeah.
Why
So you have plenty of time, so I would say whatever you feel passionate about.
I think I want to get teaching
Generally,
astronomy.
it has something to do with the atmosphere.
Teaching astronomy without math.
All right. I will.
What's the inside color of the rainbow?
Can change that anytime.
Blue.
Yeah.
What happens is the
Working on
sun
one
light goes
about
through
binary stars,
the atmosphere.
multiple star systems. But
And what happens is.
I had Riyadh send me a list of the ones that he likes looking at. What I want to do is, here's where they are, here's where we see them, and then go to space engine. Here's what they look like if you're there.
Okay, so what happens is, the first
I actually found a really interesting one. It was, from this exoplanet thing. I wrote Brother Guy and said, hey, I think this is post-worthy. He said, were you aware that one of our adjunct scholars discovered an exoplanet? And I'm like, no. So he told me about it, and I went to the space engine and looked it up. It was really cool. You've got it's a trinary red dwarf system. 2 of them are doing this. The third one's way out here. That's the one with the planetary system.
Yeah. Oh,
And, yeah, I mean, I don't know how. Planetary, here's the plane of the orbit. The planetary system is like that, and there's like 4 of them.
Yeah.
All that
I remember, you ever see and go and David's presentations about sunrise on another world?
it goes through 78.
Yeah, I've seen a lunar eclipse.
So the only X-ray, radio waves, visible light,
Big Bailey
electromagnetic spectrum.
It involved a lot
But
of
if you want to keep them
whiteboard
straight,
drawing and
blue, just outside of blue is
mental
ultraviolet,
gymnastics.
just outside of red is
Really cool.
infrared, that's hot, And then radio waves. So when you go
Actually
to
show you
radio
what
waves, you're
sunrise
going
on other worlds looks like it's phasing.
When you
Well, that's
go
what I
to
was
the
thinking
blue
is,
side, you're going to
it
short,
might be-
short means more energetic.
Might be
So
possible
that's where you
to,
go to gamma,
I'm
X-ray,
still-
and all that.
I've been learning about.
Still trying to load my notes here.
Oh,
Do you wanna-
Remember,
yeah, I'm gonna give everybody the,
3-minute warning?
Yeah.
yeah, it's all electromagnetic.
all right, everybody. Filter on back. We will be starting shortly.
So Dale was first.
Yeah, shortly is the operative word. I'm still loading my notes here.
It's not 10 till yet. Just giving everybody online a chance to filter on back.
Where they make the money, you know, when you walk down the aisle, the hub, you see all those there, that's where they do. Not ticket sales, which is why, concessions are so expensive. Because to me, there's nothing like on a big street with good stuff. So if you're looking at something like Bohemian Rhapsody, you know, I haven't much of this.
Are you ready?
I am when time comes.
You mean, have you got the notes?
Yes. Yes.
Hey Diane,
What?
hit that blue OK button in the upper right there. Get rid of that.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers.
Remember the camera's there.
Yeah.
I watch too much shows.
I'm pretty excited about this interferometer that the ESA wants to put up there. That's very cool.
Did you tune into the last presentation at Cranbrook?
All
It
right.
was a great interferometry.
I couldn't get there.
It's 7:50. That means it is time for me to make 2 announcements and then yield the floor to the first vice president. One, if you didn't get the email, there is a showing of Deep Sky, a 39-minute film that a lot of the WAS members are going to at the AMC Forum 30 in Sterling Heights on Saturday. So there will be ice cream afterwards, so check it out. Check your email. The other thing is, if you are familiar with our colleagues in the Seven Ponds Astronomy Club, they have their chili cook-off on Saturday as well, 7 o'clock up at their place at Seven Ponds Nature Center. So Saturday is a fun day. If y'all are willing to cook up a pot of chili, enjoy some ice cream, enjoy a movie, etc. And with that, I'd like to introduce First Vice President Jonathan Cade.
All right. Well, tonight we have a special presentation. As previously discussed, we will have 2 presenters catching you up on everything you might have missed that happened in the universe in 2025, but only the good stuff. So first off, we're going to have joining us remotely Dr. Dale Partin. Dr. Partin has a doctorate from Carnegie Mellon University. He bought his first telescope in 1997, joined the Warren Astronomical Society in 1998, and has been an officer at least half the time since. He also teaches astronomy here at Macomb Community College and is usually the person who gets us our rooms here. So thank you, Dr. Partin, for all you do, and take it away.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Well, it's that time of year when we take a look back at the previous year and say, what was new? I'm going to give the first half of this talking about discoveries outside the solar system. And then Ken Bertin is going to talk about discoveries inside the solar system. So I'll start with this pie chart on the right. I'm sure most, if not all of you, have seen this before. It says most of the content of the universe is something called dark energy. And we can't see it, but it's a name we plastered on to the observation that the universe is not just expanding, the rate of expansion is increasing. Something is stretching out space-time, making it appear that distant galaxies are moving away from us at a high rate of speed. Second to dark energy is dark matter, stuff that has gravitational effects, but we can't see it either. That's most of reality, 95% of reality. We don't know what it is. Only about 5% is normal stuff like electromagnetic radiation, clouds of gas, stars, planets, that kind of stuff. So the rather new discovery and somewhat surprising is that dark energy may be weakening with time. Einstein had postulated the existence of a cosmological constant, which people had attributed this dark energy to that, whatever it is. But now it's looking like the cosmological constant is not constant. So that name may not survive too long. And new telescopes, such as the Vera-Rubin telescope that is now operational, will help a lot in future studies of dark energy and dark matter. Everything else, as far as I can see, everything else we know about dark energy is in this black patch on the screen. Right? In other words, I don't think we know anything else. So dark energy is just a name for our ignorance at this point. So let's talk about dark matter. Fritz Zwicky was the first to suggest the existence of dark matter in 1933. Vera Rubin provided the first firm evidence of it in the 1970s. She determined that galaxies spin too fast. At the rate that they spin, they would come flying apart unless there's more matter in them than we can see. A lot more matter in them. So there have been lots of physics and astrophysics types who have done all kinds of experiments to try to determine what that dark matter is. Nothing has worked so far. Some possibilities being explored are, one, some kind of new particle. A lot of people would like that to be the explanation, especially if they could tag a fancy name on it that would bring in lots of funding for further studies of it. Second possibility is there's no new particle. It's just that gravity may not obey Newton's law of gravity at sufficiently large length scales. So a lot of people have worked on that possibility. A lot of challenges with making that fit all the data. Third possibility is maybe dark matter is just small, very small black holes. That's still being explored. And the fourth, which I had not known about until recently, is maybe dark matter is quark matter. Let me go into that a little bit more. This was first suggested by Ed Witten, faculty at Princeton University. He's still there as professor emeritus, meaning, I think, semi-retired. He postulated back in 1984, mind you, that certain combinations of quarks would be stable, electrically neutral, and dark if they were in a cluster of such particles. His theory had some problems with how these particles could form. But recently, people have found ways around those, theoretical ways around those problems, opening the possibility that dark matter might be made of quarks. If you ask the average person who's took science classes in high school or middle school or something, you ask them, what is matter made out of? They'll tell you that atoms have a nucleus with neutrons and protons in them and electrons that go around the nucleus. That's true, but there's a deeper view of things than that. This is the standard. By the way, can you guys see my cursor?
Yep.
Yes.
I think I heard a yes.
You did?
So electrons here are a fundamental particle, as far as we know, in the universe. But protons and neutrons are not fundamental particles. They consist of two kinds of quarks, up quarks and down quarks. Quite imaginative names. But there are lots of other fundamental particles. In terms of quarks, I will be talking specifically about the S quark, this strange quark. You can make, for example, out of up and down quarks with some gluons thrown in to hold them together, you can make neutrons and protons. And another familiar particle is here, the photon. It carries light. I'm not going to go into all this other stuff. Let me just say muons are sort of like heavy electrons. They're about 200 times heavier than the electron. And cosmic rays, when high energy protons hit the upper atmosphere and hit a nucleus of a nitrogen or an oxygen atom, they shatter it and create a shower of particles coming down. A lot of those are muons. They are unstable, radioactive, but each of us is currently being hit with roughly 100 cosmic rays per second. A good share of those are muons. So here's a sort of a model of a proton. It consists of two up quarks and one down quark. An up quark has a charge of plus 2/3 of the electron charge, a down quark minus 1/3 of an electron charge. So a proton has two up quarks, so that's plus 2/3, plus 2/3, and one down quark, so that's minus 1/3. So that gives you 1 plus 1 time of the electron charge. The neutron has one up and two down quarks, so that's plus 2/3, minus 1/3, minus 1/3, and 0 charge. So many, the nuclei of many atoms are stable. They're not, many of them are not radioactive. And there are lots of neutrons in things like sodium chloride, sodium and chlorine, for example. But if you take a neutron away from the nucleus where there are protons, you isolate a neutron, it's not stable. It decays with a half-life of about 15 minutes, decays into a proton, an electron, and a very light particle called a neutrino. So I just want to make the point, because this will turn up again in what I'm about to show you when you add in strange quarks. Neutrons are stable if they're attached to a proton, but they become unstable if they're out by themselves. So is dark matter made from quarks? Here is something called a strangelet. Not a neutron, not a proton, a strangelet. Has one up quark, one down quark, and one strange quark bound together with gluons. So this is a simple strangelet. The charge on it is plus 2/3 for the up quark, minus 1/3 for the down quark, and again, minus 1/3 for the strange quark, giving 0 charge. But there are more complex strangelets with more of these particles in them. In general, they're a combination of roughly equal numbers of up, down, and strange quarks, arranged so that you get 0 charge, net charge. Small strangelets like this one are stable if they're with others, but they're unstable like neutrons if they're all by themselves. You can make these things, for example, in the Large Hadron Collider, but you just make onesie-twosie amounts of them. So since they're not bound together with other strangelets, they're unstable and they decay into other things rapidly. However, large combinations of strangelets called quark nuggets, how imaginative, become stable, according to Ed Witten's theory. Similarly, how neutrons become stable if they're bound to protons. Excuse me. So a quark nugget with a radius of 1 centimeter would weigh about 1 billion tons. Sort of similar to what you'd have in a neutron star, where it's more or less solid neutrons, solid nuclear matter, right? The mass is huge for small quantities of stuff. If one of these quartz nuggets is at least meters in size, it's called a strange star because it has strangelets in it. They are electrically neutral. Theoretically, they would be dark. Okay? So, some neutron stars are, the theorists say, may have a strange matter core. And theoretically, under certain conditions, the neutron crust on these stars might collapse under certain conditions. So the whole star might become, a neutron star might become a strange star. That raises the intriguing possibility that some massive dark objects currently classified as black holes might in fact be strange stars. Here I show a small, dark, massive object being circled by another star. If the mass per unit volume here has been apparently high enough, it's been assumed that this would be a black hole, but there may be cases where it's a strange star. So you can bet that'll be generating activity, trying to see if we can find any examples of this where it's actually a strange star. Also in 2025, actually shortly after the James Webb Telescope was commissioned and started operating, when they took images of the very distant universe, they saw many examples of little red dots. And no one was sure what they were at first, but in 2025, we got enough spectra taken of these things that it now appears that they are in fact supermassive black holes surrounded by dense clouds of gas. Thing is, they're way out there, having formed very close in time after the Big Bang, like a few 100 million years. So our previous theories of how massive, supermassive black holes formed could not explain this. The normal process is you take a star, and if it's a very massive star with a mass of 10 times the mass of the sun or more, when it uses up its fuel, it collapses. That collapse gives up a tremendous amount of gravitational energy, gets the star super hot, and it explodes. And you're left with a black hole, a stellar mass black hole. And then, many stellar mass black holes would find each other and combine. That was the idea of how you would eventually form a supermassive black hole. But all the models said that should take a long time. How could that happen in just a few 100 million years? So the new idea is if these early clouds of gas, which would have been hydrogen and helium from the Big Bang, the universe, the density of matter was huge early on before it expanded with the expansion of space-time. So the new idea is that some of this very dense cloud of gas directly collapsed, huge amounts of it. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. I'm going to turn it off. Fix that problem. These very big, dense clouds of gas may have directly collapsed into supermassive black holes. That's the idea. And that way of accounting for the existence of these little red dots was new in 2025.
Dr.
Yes.
Partin, can I ask, it looks like there's some lit up gas there. Is that truly some kind of lit up reflection inside the gas around these objects, or is that just like an image artifact? Do you know?
My understanding is that the gas surrounded, the gas that didn't collapse in on the black hole is still surrounding it. And those gases are probably very rapidly rotating around it, and so they get hot and get light. Why the dominant color seen with the James Webb Telescope is red, I don't know. Nor do I know if, that must be the true color because they call them little red dots. But I don't think they're using false color imaging to make them visible to us.
Well, specifically, there's it looks like a solar prominence. Can you see that on the JADES 9186? It's pretty subtle, but it's at the top of it. I was just wondering if that was a real thing or just some kind of imaging artifact.
I don't know.
All right.
But good observation. Black holes spin, and so it could be that, and often matter is ejected along the spin axis, matter that had not crossed the event horizon. So it could be something there.
Hey, Jonathan?
Yes.
There is a post from February.
Bob, do you want to read?
February of 2026, disappearance of a massive star in Andromeda galaxy due to formation of black holes was a direct collapse. They watched a star vanish. It did not go supernova.
Fascinating. This is different, though. These never became stars, though.
Right.
So. I guess, Dale, one other thing before you move on, has there been any sign of giant cats chasing these? Sorry, carry on.
Okay,
Cosmic cats.
so, another new thing was the most massive black hole was discovered, with a mass of 36 billion solar masses in the cosmic horseshoe galaxy. There were earlier reports of somewhat more massive solar mass black holes, but in those cases, they were not very accurately measured. So these people say they've measured it quite accurately, and so, you know, they're laying claim to the biggest. I think it's pretty impressive that 36 billion solar masses is almost 10,000 times bigger than our own massive black hole at the center of the Milky Way, 4.1 billion solar masses. What's coming next? One wonders. I always heard that Andromeda and the Milky Way were going to collide in a few billion years. Recent simulations indicate that it might turn out to be a near miss or a glancing collision. Smaller galaxies like the Large Magellanic Cloud galaxy would play a role in this. I guess we'll have to wait and see who's right.
Tell your children.
Kind of a long wait. Another, excuse me. Another topic of interest outside the solar system is exoplanet discoveries. As of a few days ago, when I last checked, we're up to 6,107 exoplanets whose discovery has been confirmed, and thousands more of exoplanet candidates. To pick two of some interest, there are two stars very near the solar system are now known to have planets. Bernard's star is now known to have 4 rocky planets, none of them in the habitable zone. That's only about 6 light years away. And Alpha Centauri, binary to Proxima Centauri, which is the closest star to the solar system. But Alpha Centauri is now known to have at least one planet with a massive Saturn, also not in the habitable zone. And that's just over 4 light years away. So right in our neighborhood, more exoplanets. An exoplanet system that's been heavily studied is the TRAPPIST-1 star system. I always wondered where TRAPPIST-1 came from. Apparently, that's the name of a tavern in Belgium that some astronomers often frequented when they started studying the star. So they put that name on the star, name of the tavern. It's known that the TRAPPIST-1 star, which is only 40 light years away, close enough to be a good candidate for detailed study. It's known that it has 7 rocky planets with sizes similar to the Earth in roughly circular orbits. So at least some of them should be in the habitable zone. The TRAPPIST-1 star is a red dwarf, so it puts out very little light compared to the sun, light and heat. So these planets are very close to the star. They might all be closer than Mercury. And the habitable zone is within that system of 7 stars, 7 planets. So the James Webb Telescope has spent a lot of time studying those planets when they do transits of the star to try to determine what atmospheres they may have. The first four planets closest to the star have been studied with the Webb telescope, several transits of each, looking for atmospheres. The three planets closest to the star, which are labeled B, C, and D, have no atmosphere at all. Planet E, which is the fourth from the star, the data could be interpreted to mean there's no atmosphere, or perhaps a thin nitrogen atmosphere, maybe with a little bit of methane mixed in. An issue is that red dwarf stars tend to have huge flares that come pretty often. And these planets are very close to the star. So if they had atmospheres, those atmospheres might have been blasted away a long time ago. And so far the data is kind of consistent with that. But there's a little bit of uncertainty with the fourth planet out from the star, the E planet. And the uncertainty is mostly because the star, the light and heat given off from the star is not stable. It keeps changing. And so they've got, the James Webb Telescope is going to spend, it's going to 15 more times study this thing just to further characterize how stable or unstable that star is, so they can better figure out whether the data on planet E is just oscillations in the star or if there might be an atmosphere on it. About 70% of the stars in the Milky Way are red dwarf stars. So if this flaring is a real problem, as it well could be, for planets in the habitable zone, that's going to be a kind of a shame, because that's going to mean we're going to have an awful lot of planets with no atmosphere.
So Dale, I wanted to say I didn't coordinate this, but I'm actually wearing a tourism advertisement for TRAPPIST-1 as my t-shirt. So this was not coordinated, but.
Okay, do you have any inside information on what?
I do not, but it's a beautiful place, and the promotional literature is all I can say.
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, there's
So
another
this is the star
problem.
system he's talking about, so. Do you know why it's called TRAPPIST-1, Dale?
Yeah.
Okay.
As I mentioned, there's a tavern in Belgium named TRAPPIST-1.
That one's easier to get.
And the astronomers that first started studying the star and its planets liked to go to that tavern. So they named the star after that tavern. What can I say? Crazier things have happened. I mean, the other issue with the TRAPPIST-1 system is, so far as we've seen, there's no Jupiter-like planet out there beyond these planets to protect them from comets and asteroids coming in. I mean, if there is such a planet, we haven't seen it yet. Now, looking ahead to 2026, we've got lots of telescopes operating that are going to be giving us lots of new discoveries. I just mentioned that the Vera C. Rubin Observatory is now fully operational. It will survey the entire southern sky and part of the northern sky every few nights. And it will, I'm sure, will give us a wealth of discoveries. Ken may mention some of the stuff that he'll be doing inside the solar system, so I'll leave that to him. But surveying essentially the entire night sky every few nights is going to be super helpful in studies of dark energy and dark matter. So stay tuned for new discoveries there. And of course, the James Webb Telescope will be super busy. But another new telescope coming soon is the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope. It was scheduled to launch in the first half of next year, but progress is so fast on it that they're starting to think they might be able to launch it this fall. It has a smaller mirror than the Webb telescope, as you can see the numbers there, and will not see as far into the infrared, but it has a huge field of view. This is the mirror for this telescope, the lens, was given to NASA by some secret government agency, like the National Reconnaissance Office or something. So I think they must have made this mirror, this lens, capable of this super wide field of view for looking down on the Earth, right? So they could see a lot more of what was going on. Another new telescope that was just launched last month, I hadn't even heard of it. It was called Pandora.
Cool.
It's a small satellite with a 0.45 meter lens. And it's dedicated to the study of previously identified transiting exoplanets to further study their atmospheres. That's all it's going to do. Just launched last month. So that's my story for tonight. Any other comments or questions?
That red dwarf star, they've been talking
I
about.
can't hear.
Here.
We're not using those.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't get them.
Oh, no. All right.
The red dwarf star, the red dwarf stars are extraordinarily, like you said, active. And those flares don't help any atmospheres on any of the planets, like you said. And that's one of the biggest problems with TRAPPIST. Because if it is in fact a red dwarf star, it's very unlikely any of those planets would ever have an atmosphere.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, it was foreseen that might be the case, but it's so important to find out for sure whether that's true or not, that they put a huge amount of effort and telescope time on the Webb studying that star system, and they haven't given up yet.
Yep.
I got a question, maybe.
A little louder, please.
Sure, I'll repeat it.
Okay. Did you hear anything about, I think it was the James Webb Telescope that discovered dimethyl sulfide in the atmosphere of an exoplanet? And dimethyl sulfide is generally only created by something that's alive?
We've heard that.
So,
Okay,
Ken, you're
I
not
heard
covering
the
that in your
question.
talk, are you?
What?
Yes.
So-
Didn't hear anything about that.
Did you hear anything
heard
about
about that.
dimethyl sulfide being detected by the James Webb
Yeah, I heard about that.
Exoplanet.
on an exoplanet?
Probably should have mentioned it, but I've also read that it's disputed whether that gas, dimethyl sulfide, can only be produced by living things.
Yeah.
It wasn't conclusive. I just wondered if anything was more conclusive
Not
about
yet.
it.
The only additional thing I've heard is that it's disputed whether
Yeah,
that
I
has
think-
to be created. Also, the evidence of dimethyl sulfide was somewhat sketchy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Partin. I think we got to move on to Ken's, but
Okay, I'm gonna
let's
stop
have
sharing.
a round of applause first. All right, and Ken, take it away.
We get to set it up because I don't, is it up there already?
It is, yes.
And I can't get that.
I just need to, okay, is the camera on?
It looks like, can people see it? That's what we want to know. We know we can see it here.
Yes, yeah, your camera is on.
Okay, very good. Okay, I got the enviable task of doing the solar system material, but much of this stuff is spun off into doing interstellar stuff as well.
So some of the stuff you're going to see here has been applied at some of that point. So this is the astronomy in the news. Let me make sure I've got this, that I can do this. Okay, astronomy in the news for 2025, and this is the solar system highlights. Let me see if I can get this arrow go over where it's supposed to go. Come on. Okay, why are you not doing that?
It's there. It's
I
just
know
not-
it's just not showing up.
Yeah.
If you can find
Yeah,
it.
it's right here. It's on, oh, do you want it here?
I want it over here.
Okay.
Okay, great, okay. All right, so this is our talk for the next information. Well, there have been possible satellite accidents, and surprisingly, international space cooperation kick off this in the first of the things that we're talking about. China reached out to NASA to avoid a potential satellite collision in its first-of-kind space cooperation. Space debris continues to be a growing problem for space exploration, and that's credited to NASA's Goddard space flight. Possible satellite accidents and surprising international, let me see, there we go, space cooperation kick off the list. This is number 12. It's a story that perhaps offered a glimpse of a more collaborative future in orbit that can drown out our Kessler syndrome worries. This year, officials with the Chinese National Space Agency did something unexpected. They reached out to NASA after detecting a potential satellite traffic collision, suggesting NASA hold its satellite still while they figure out a maneuver. While NASA has sent such alerts to China before, the reverse hadn't happened until now. On one hand, there's something to be said here about how many satellites are traversing the Earth orbit, so many that space traffic control is moving toward normalcy. And on the other, it shows China's space capabilities may have leveled up once more, detecting and tracking potential sophisticated space situation awareness, sometimes something long dominated by the US. For years, we have had conjunction. We would send a note to the Chinese saying, we think we're going to run into you, you hold still, we'll maneuver around you. Alvin Drew, director of the NASA Space Sustainability, said during a plenary session at the International Astronomical Congress in Sydney, Australia on October the 2nd. A big shift had come a day earlier, Drew revealed. Just yesterday, he says, we had a bit of celebration because for the first time, the Chinese National Space Agency reached out to us and said, we see a conjunction amongst our satellites. We recommend you hold still. We'll do the maneuver, and that's the first time that ever happened.
I've heard recently that SpaceX wants to put 1 million satellites into orbit.
Something like that. Well, don't get me started on that one. All right. There's a big lake in Quebec suddenly disappeared. Lac Rouge suddenly disappeared in Quebec. The headline of this space photo of the day from August is certainly worth a double take. A short explanation for what happened here is that the land surrounding a lake in Quebec collapsed inward on itself, causing the lake's water to drain suddenly and triggering landslides with little to no warning. Families with the Cree First Nation of Waswanipi, an indigenous community in Quebec, were devastated by the loss of their traditional hunting, fishing, and campgrounds. In May of 2025, residents living around Lac Rouge discovered a washed-out road near the lake, triggering investigations that revealed the lake had completely emptied almost overnight, an extremely rare and puzzling event for the area. Using both ground and air searches, experts found that the land around the lake had collapsed on itself, causing a lake to drain. What is it? Lake Rouge is a small lake, only about 0.86 square miles. around. According to the European Southern Observatory, it was used by the Cree First Nation based in the nearby community of Waswanipi for fishing, hunting, and trapping. Of course, the James Webb Telescope takes its first look at the interstellar comet, a 3I-Atlas, with unexpected results. James Webb turned its eye on an interstellar comet, resulting in these images. Of course, Comet 3I Atlas had to make this list. It's one of the most fascinating cosmic serendipities to happen in recent memory. Comets are very cool in and of themselves, but that's special about Atlas is that it came from beyond our solar system, hence its interstellar title. And it's only the third confirmed object to enter our corner of the cosmos from elsewhere. Scientists are trying to learn as much as possible about this so-called invader before it leaves forever. And in this article, you can see data about the comet captured by the James Webb Space Telescope, a highly revered infrared light-catching instrument that launched on Christmas Day in 2021. James Webb Space Telescope takes first look at this interstellar comet with unexpected results. By Robert Lee, published in August the 26th in 2025, NASA's $10 billion space telescope studied the third interstellar object again to enter the solar system, measuring the chemical context of its halo. Webb has observed the interstellar visitor again for the first time. The powerful space telescope trained its near-infrared vision and its near-infrared spectrograph instruments on the comet in August of 2025. Discovered on July 1st by the Atlas Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System Survey Telescope, Atlas is just the third ever object, like we said, drifting through our solar system and believed to have originated from around another star. The two interstellar intruders, Maui, discovered in 2017, and 2I Borisov, detected in 2019. The James Webb follows in the footsteps of the Hubble scope and the Sphere-X Observatory, both of which have already observed Atlas as it passes through the solar system. This investigation aims to uncover the characteristics, including size, physical properties, and importantly, its chemical makeup. The Earth will spin faster today to create the second shortest day in history. It occurred this past summer. The second shortest day on record took place on July 22nd, but it was only 1.34 milliseconds shorter. The record didn't last on. It was broken again on August the 5th. What causes these variations? Well, Earth's rotation isn't perfectly constant because of variables like the gravitational pull of the moon on our planet, masses of our planet itself shifting like its liquid core, and seasonal changes. And even though we can't actually feel the difference in rotation, it's maybe nice to know that forces beyond the context of our reality are shifting and aligning, keep our clocks ticking, and our journey through the universe a healthy cruise. The difference will be just 1.34 milliseconds less than the standard 24 hours, not something you'll notice, but it's part of a puzzling trend on Earth's rotational behavior that has been unfolding in recent years. If it continues, a second may need to be subtracted from atomic clocks around 2029, a so-called negative leap second, which has never been done before. The speed of the Earth's rotation isn't fixed. Long ago, the day was much shorter than the 24 hours and 86,400 seconds. We're now accustomed to, according to a 2023 study, a day on Earth was approximately 19 hours for a significant part of the Earth's early history due to the balance between the solar atmospheric tides and lunar ocean tides. However, over deep time, a day has become consistently longer. The primary culprit, Um, okay. Sorry about that. The primary culprit has been tidal friction from the moon, which has caused a gradually moving farther away from Earth. As it moves away, the moon saps the Earth's rotational energy, causing Earth's rotation to slow and days to lengthen. Our planet has been rotating at its fastest pace since records began in 1973. When records began with the invention of the atomic clock in 1973 until 2020, the shortest day ever record was a 1.05 milliseconds, less than 24 hours, according to the timeanddate.com. But since 2020, Earth has repeatedly broken its own speed records. The shortest day ever measured occurred again on July 5th, 2024, when the Earth's rotation was completed 1.66 milliseconds faster than usual. Now, looking ahead to 2025, as they said, science predicted that on July the 9th, July the 22nd, August 5th would be the shortest days of the years. However, new data suggests that July 10th took the lead as the shortest day so far in 2025, clocking in at 1.36 milliseconds, less than 24 hours. On July 22nd, Earth was expected to complete its spin in 1.34 milliseconds early, making it a close runner-up. August 5th is also mentioned in it, and as we move along through 2026, you will see mild variations. Okay, let's move on. Astronomer Gianluca Massi of the Virtual Telescope Project caught this image of Cosmos 482. You can barely see it. It's up in the middle of the thing. You can see it coming down from the middle. It really doesn't show up very well on this. I've tried to get a better picture. They didn't give me one. This caught this image of Cosmos 482 during one of its last orbits as it passed over Rome, Italy, on May 10th, 2025. It was a bittersweet moment on May 10th this year when Soviet-era spacecraft Cosmos 482 plunged back to Earth after more than 5 decades in orbit. Cosmos 482's destiny was to ride the tides around Venus, but because of a failure during the launch, the spacecraft never made it past our planet's orbit. And for the last 5 decades, wait a minute, I lost it again. There we go. Okay, destiny was to ride the tides, but because of the failure during launch, the spacecraft didn't get out of orbit, and for the last 5 decades, as I said, it remained in limbo there, unable to continue its journey to return home until gravity closed the chapter. At last, it's home. Cosmos 482 probe crashed into the Earth on May 10th after circling our planet for more than 5 decades. Re-entry occurred at 2:24 a.m. Eastern Time over the Indian Ocean west of Jakarta, Indonesia, according to Russian space agency Roscosmos. Cosmos 482 appears to have fallen harmlessly into the sea, which was good because that sucker could really do it some damage. The Massey of the Virtual Telescope Project caught an image again during one of the final orbits as it passed. You got it all right? Yeah, that's it. Okay. Earth isn't the planet that Cosmos 482 was supposed to land on. The spacecraft, right? The spacecraft was part of the Soviet Union's Venera program, which sent a fleet of probes to Venus in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. Cosmos 482 launched toward Earth's hellishly hot sister planet in 1972, but a problem with this rocket stranded the spacecraft in an elliptical orbit around the Earth. And again, for the next 53 years, it was being around the Earth. Most large pieces of space junk decrepit satellites and spent rocket bodies, for example, break apart during their fiery trips back to Earth, creating artificial meteor showers. And it's possible that Cosmos 482 made it down in one piece. However, given that it was designed to survive high-speed trip through Venus's thick atmosphere, the probe is about 3.3 feet wide, about a meter, and weighs about 1,190 pounds. If it didn't break apart during reentry, it likely hit the Earth's surface going at about 150 miles per hour, according to Dutch satellite tracker Marco Langbroek. Moving on.
And do you remember what the difference between a Cosmos series craft and a Venera series craft?
Tell everybody.
If it made it to Venus, it was a Venera. If it didn't, it was Cosmos.
I knew what you were talking about, I'll tell you that. Okay, well, let me go here again. Sometimes this thing just doesn't want to move over. There it is. And there it isn't. Okay, now the next story. This one's kind of cool. Actually, they all are, but this one's, I got a kick out of this one. Russians' Noah's Ark satellite carrying 75 mice and 1,500 flies land on Earth. The landing spot of Russia's Bayan M #2 descent module on the steppes of the Orenburg region. Speaking of an in-orbit objects that returned home, so did a spherical Russian spacecraft carrying 75 mice, 1,500 flies, microorganisms, and plant seeds, which spent 30 days in orbit, exposing its living cargo to cosmic radiation and microgravity before returning to the Earth. While 10 mice died and some flies didn't survive, most of the animals came back alive, giving the scientists variable insight into how living organisms cope with spaceflight. Russia's Noah's Ark satellite carrying those 75 mice and 1,500 landed back on Earth, and it was called Russia's Mini Menagerie. Russia's biological satellite, toting more than 30 experiments, landed on September 19th in the steppes of Orenburg region after spending 30 days in the Earth's orbit. The Bayan M #2 descent module, again, has been called Noah's Ark because of its mini menagerie and specimens flown. It was lofted from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in August the 20th atop a Soyuz 2B rocket. After the launch, the craft was placed in polar orbit, roughly 230 miles in altitude at an inclination of roughly 97 degrees. Bayan M2 payload select biological specimens were thereafter exposed to the high level of cosmic radiation. And photos taken of the recovered craft suggest the landing spurred a small brush fire. This fire was quickly extinguished, allowing recovery crews to approach the descent module. A trio of search helicopters carrying technical specialists touched down near the descent module to extract the living specimens as rapidly as possible to start the initial examination. On-site specialists were slated to assess flies' motor activity, detect any nervous system problems. And according to the Russian Academy of Sciences, the lead organization on the mission, the first post-flight studies were done to deploy to the medical tent at a landing site. The biological objects were expected to be returned to the laboratories in September.
Have these guys not seen the blob?
Flesh.
Saw it and said, yes, let's
do that.
Diamond Nexus.
Okay, now we go to a little bit of a space program. The cosmonaut was removed from the SpaceX Crew 12 mission for violating national security rules. Cosmonaut Oleg Artemiev was removed from the SpaceX Crew 12 mission. In early December, an investigative report from the Russian news site The Insider revealed that the cosmonaut was removed after allegedly leaking confidential SpaceX documentation and photos. This mission, scheduled to launch in the International Space Station as early as February, now lists cosmonaut Andrei Fedyaev as Artemyev's replacement on the 4-person crew. My contacts confirmed that the violation occurred, and an interdepartmental investigation has been launched. Oleg of Russia's space agency Roscosmos has been manifest on SpaceX Crew 12, a 4-person mission scheduling to launch during the International Space Station toward the ISS in early February. Fellow cosmonaut recently took his place. And that's the insider reported that Oleg was apparently removed for violations of the International Traffic of Arms Regulations, a U.S. law that seeks to safeguard national security by restricting dissemination of sensitive information and technology. Scientists analyzed 76 million radio telescope images, find Starlink satellite interference where no signals are supposed to be present. An astronomical image marred by trails caused by satellites of SpaceX Starlink mega constellation and a batch of SpaceX Starlink satellites before deployment. And on the note of SpaceX, the rise of its satellite mega constellations spearheaded by Elon Musk's company continues to make headlines for the negative impact it has on astronomy observations. Heard that one before? Though other satellites are contributors to the issue of signal interference in the night skies, notably AST Space Mobile's Blue Worker 3, SpaceX's Starlink internet satellites are quite the polluters of this domain. There are over 10,000 deployed satellites, with more on the way. This article is one of the several investigate how bad the Starlink effect is on astronomy and how much worse it could get. A new study from this month, for instance, suggests satellite constellations like Starlink could obscure most space telescope observations by late 2030. Scientists analyzed 76 million radio telescope images, find Starlink satellite intervention where no signals are supposed to be present. There's no doubt the SpaceX Starlink internet service was connected. The world would never before, like never before, but at what cost? Astronomers have long voiced concerns about Starlink satellite constellation interference with observations of the universe. And Elon Musk says, well, if you're going to do any photograph in space, you got to go there. Does anybody here have the cash on hand to help go with
Yeah,
it?
he does.
Yeah, there he is. That's the one.
You know that
All right.
his Starship has a Pez dispenser type capability of putting hundreds of satellites with one launch. Hundreds from that giant Starship that he's launching.
Right.
It's like a Pez dispenser.
Yep. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of issues that are coming up with that one, and it is reaching a peak at this point. Move on here. Okay, here we go. All right. What time was September 7th blood moon total lunar eclipse? The total eclipse happened on September the 7th and 8th, 2025. It put on a spectacular show, dazzling stargazers with mesmerizing display of orbital mechanics that briefly turned the moon blood red as Earth's shadow swept across the lunar disk. Number 4 on the list represents several blood moon stories from this year as humanity's desire to view our lunar friend become quite clear while we search through our most read stories. The blood moon, for context, happened because the total lunar eclipse was visible across Asia and Europe overnight from September 7th to September 8th. The moon's deep red hue appeared as it passed through the Earth's shadow with an exact shade shaped by conditions in the Earth's atmosphere, a process explained in detail through the accompanying infographic, which you see. It's hard to forget how much the 2024 total solar eclipse captivated the world. It would seem space traffic is just mesmerized as space traffic control to us. The total eclipse turned red to millions across Asia and Europe. 77% of the world's population saw it. We on the America side did not. Okay, NASA's Perseverance rover hits the Mars rock gold mine. It has been all we had hoped for and more. One of the navigation cameras of NASA's Perseverance captured the rover's tracks coming from the area called Witch Hazel Hill on May 13th, 2025, the 1503rd Martian day of the mission. And there's also some of the material that was found on it as well. Has some major wins this year. While scouring the Mars surface for clues about the history of the red planet, one of them is an absolute bounty of peculiar rocks it found at a spot near Jezero crater called Witch Hazel Hill. While exploring this region, the rover uncovered intriguing specimens, including once molten rocks and for the first time, material from the crater itself. One particularly prized sample, dubbed Silver Mountain, captivated scientists with the unusual textures and will likely remain a highlight of the missions for years to come. The Perseverance rover hits the Mars rock gold mine. It has been all we had hoped for and more. For the last 4 months have been a whirlwind of science team, and we still feel the Witch Hazel Hill has more to tell us. This was reported by NASA. The rover is reveling in the scientific bonanza on Mars after finding diverse array of rocks again that are providing eager scientists a glimpse into the planet's ancient history. Perseverance rover is currently exploring Mars, hills, boulders, rocks at the rim of Jezero crater, a dry bowl-shaped depression north of the Martian equator that likely held a lake billions of years ago. Since reaching the crater's western rim in December, the rover has focused its attention on the layered terrain of the tall slope called Hazel Hill, which holds clues to the period when Mars had a vastly different climate. Past few months alone, the car-sized Perseverance has collected samples of 5 rocks, performed detailed analysis on 7 of them, and zapped the additional 83 with its laser for remote study. The robotic explorer's fastest pace of scientific data collection since it landed on Red Planet 4 years ago. And this has become extremely interesting to scientists on what went on there and what we expect to see as time goes along. Number 2, I did that again. Okay, oops, didn't want to do that. Come back. There we go. Okay, Northern Lights were visible in 23 U.S. states on June 1. The Northern Lights put on several spectacular displays in 2025. Similar to the deal with the Blood Moon conglomerate, this article represents all Northern Light stories that were running off the charts this year. Current solar cycle has been kind enough to allow the humans across the world to see the Northern Lights right in their backyards. And even if they don't live in the frigid polar areas of our globe, as was the case. And after getting a taste of what it's like to see these surreal light shows, it appears to have become a chase for many. In June, 25 states got to see the Northern Lights. As we approached the summer solstice in June, the window of darkness was for observing Northern Lights shrank, and early morning hours around 1 to 2 a.m. were the best time to see the Northern Lights. Interested in tracking space weather and knowing when and where to spot auroras, download the Space Weather app that provides the forecast based on your location. And there's many stories about it. It goes all the way across the country. Okay, now I did it again. There we go. Okay, moving along. Come on. Let's go why it's doing that. Okay, no, that's not what I wanted. There we go. And there we go. Okay, now we have the other thing. We have this president who has signed a bill that included an $85 million to move the space shuttle's Discovery from the Smithsonian to Texas. This idea has been made with much disdain from the experts, in part because it would entail sort of chipping up Discovery into several pieces, not to mention it'd be pretty hard to complete the task, and the money involved would theoretically be used for other stuff. It's fitting to have this story in the top spot because how science has been flipped inside down this year due to the changes implemented by the Trump administration. By the way, I am neutral, okay? But the fact of the matter is sometimes, I know, and a lot of people aren't, I understand that, but I will tell you this, that he isn't helping the situation, and his administration isn't either. And this is one of the top stories because it's going to change things that we're doing in NASA, and we don't need to do that. Considering the amount of dramatic news we see on the list alone, both directly and indirectly, it will be interesting to see what our 2026 most read stories list will look like. Moving on.
Number 0?
No, we're going to do this. Caltech researchers find the evidence of a real ninth planet. All right, ready for this? Caltech researchers have found evidence of a giant planet tracing a brazier, highly elongated orbit in the outer solar system. The object, which the researchers have called Planet 9, has the mass of 10 times that of the Earth and orbits about 20 times farther from the Sun on average than does Neptune, which orbits the Sun at an average distance of 2.8 billion miles. In fact, it would take this new planet between 10,000 and 20,000 years to make just one full orbit of the Sun. The researchers Konstantin Bertin and Mike Brown discovered the planet's existence through mathematical modeling and computer simulations that have not yet been observed the object directly. It would be the real ninth planet. Okay.
Mike Brown discovers the ninth planet every other year.
Okay, yeah, that's what they say. All right. Brown notes that the putative 9 planet at 5,000 times the mass of Pluto is significantly large, that there should be no debate on whether it is a true planet.
Actually, yes, because if this thing hasn't cleared its orbit around it, by Mike Brown's own criteria, it's not a planet.
Bingo. All right. There you go. Okay, let's go. We got a couple more stories and we're all done. All right. Interstellar Comet Atlas, we talked about this previously, is the third known object outside the solar system to discover passing through our celestial neighborhood. Astronomers have categorized this object as interstellar because of the hyperbolic shape of its orbit. It does not follow a close orbital path around the Sun. When the 3-1 Atlas is traced, or 3I, into the past, the comet clearly originates from outside the solar system. It poses no threat to Earth and will remain far away. The closest approach will be 1.8 astronomical units, or about 170 million miles. It will be reached its closest point, or did reach it, October the 30th, 2024, at a distance of about 130 million miles. Interstellar comet size and physical properties are being investigated by astronomers around the world. That's that one. Okay, you see all this other stuff that's there, but you can see pictures of it coming in. You can see a lot of material there. It gives you some. Any questions about that, by the way? Okay, we have, I think, one more. Mars rover finds organics believed to be fatty acids. The Curiosity Mars rover has been on the site, which reached down to drill into the rock target called Buckskin on Lower Mount Sharp, in this low-angle self-portrait taken on August the 5th, 2015, and released August the 19th. Selfie contains several components, images by Curiosity Mars Lands Imager. Mars rover finds organics believed to be fatty acids. Scientists report identifying trace elements of 3 different organic materials, decane, undecane, and dodecane, and a rock samples analyzed using Curiosity's onboard scientific instruments. The organic compounds, the largest ever found on Mars, believed to be fragments of fatty acids preserved in ancient mudstone in the Gale crater. According to NASA, on Earth, fatty acids are signifier of life, being the most often produced by living organisms. Living organisms could have formed molecules on Martian rocks. Because curiosity preserved alone couldn't allow scientists to conclude that the molecules were made by living things, the researchers conducted a follow-up study in their own. And there we go. You have any questions?
No, but they did find ribose in the OSIRIS-REx samples.
That's what they
which
did.
is crazy.
Crazy. We've had a very, very interesting last year, obviously. Are there any questions at all? 2026 has been set up by 2025. We're going to have a very, very interesting year coming up now. And I think that you need to watch there's a lot of publications. Some of them are biased, like the last one, which is okay. But you just have to understand that we have a world now that is changing fast. Even our orbit is changing. So be aware that you just keep an eye on everything. And I enjoy doing this like I always do.
All right. So that is it for the Macomb meeting. Some of us here in person will be progressing to the National Coney Island on Van Dyke Road for little post-meeting get-together. The rest of you have a great night, and we'll see you, if not at Stargate on the 28th, then at Cranbrook on the 2nd. Have a good one.
Thank you, my dear. You're the best.
You're welcome. How do we log out of
All
this?
right,
I
would
really
anybody
enjoyed
like to
that
take
one.
home some pop? Are these, are all of these donated?
Yeah, well, I bought them.